Namaste, everyone. I'm Orgho from Moromia Spiritual Society. Welcome to our English channel, Moromia English. Today is our seventh live episode, and the name of today's episode is Devotion, the Path of Divine Love. But before proceeding to this session, I would like to say a few words and remind you all that our English channel is quite young. It was created last November, and we are conducting live sessions ever since. And I would like everyone who are watching these sessions to subscribe and share this channel to everyone because Maharaj's non-Bengali followers had requested him repeatedly to create a channel in English so that his message, his words can go beyond this country, and people who want to be enlightened can join in this movement. Now, today is a very auspicious day. Today is 21st of June, the World Yoga Day, but we Moromians like to call it Yog Day, Jog, because the sound has a better and deeper meaning. And if you are following this channel from the beginning, then you all probably know that our first live session, that was the importance of Jog, where our respected Maharaj talked in detail about the mysteries of Indian Jog and the real reason behind this great parampara of Jog, and how today the Western concept of yoga is totally different from the Indian Jog concept. So once again, I would like everyone who are with us from the beginning or are joined right now to after this session finishes, to go in the first episode and watch the importance of Jog, just to commemorate this day. And also yesterday was Ratha Jatra, the chariots festival in India, the great day when the Holy Trinity, Jagannath, Subhadra, Balaram, are are traveled across in Odisha to the mother's sister house, Mashir Bari in Bengali, and millions of people join this movement. It's an ancient custom also to celebrate the technology of Indian greatness in the ancient times. So really today is a auspicious day. So now I would like Debashis Da, who is already in the platform today, to proceed with the session. Debashis Da.
Yes, thank you, Argo. Uh, yes, you nicely said that we are really celebrating today the World Yog Day, and yesterday we celebrated Rath Yatra. So nicely, we were rightly in a right position to say about bhakti and say about yoga. So, as you said, that I want my viewers that they should share and subscribe this channel more and more so that we can reach more people than our natural normal viewers. So, without wasting much time, I want to welcome Maharaj in this live session.
Namaskar,
Namaste, Maharaj.
everybody. Namaste and welcome, Debashis and Arghya, and all our viewers and listeners, our friends, our detractors, all the people who are inquisitive, our seekers, everybody. I welcome them on this auspicious day of World Yog Day, as you both have mentioned very rightly, that not only Moromians, but nowadays it is becoming a practice. Most Indians, not most, at least I have noticed the official channels like All India Radio and the DD News. They are, even when they are speaking in English, they are using the word joke instead of yoga. So I think it's catching on. Moromia could be the pioneers of this. and and as you have rightly said, Argo, it is a to me it is a ploy to secularize the concept of yoga. You know, when you say yoga, you only think of people doing some kind of stretching stuff, some exercises, some workouts, some stretchings, some breathing exercises, and then some visualization. They don't even call it meditation. So, the concept of divinity, the concept of spiritual fulfillment, the concept of samadhi is completely taken out of this yoga process. So it's an attempt to separate the concepts of religion from yoga, and that attempt is exemplified, let's say, in the usage of this word yoga, which has become a kind of first a kind of physical and mental well-being process exercises, and second, a career option for most people to visit the Himalayas and to Rishikesh and to go to a famous yoga center and there do a course for 6 months and 1 year, and then they become yoga teachers, rather yoga teachers, and then they go back to their own places. It may be in Europe, it may be in the US, it may be somewhere in India, somewhere in Sri Lanka or Japan, wherever, or Vietnam even. I know a friend who is in Vietnam. He's quite a famous yoga teacher. So it's a kind of a secularization of yoga to keep the divine element, the spiritual element, out from the process. For a which fundamentally to them is a physical and a mental activity for well-being. So that I think should be remembered, and that's why today's episode is very important, because we are going to talk about bhakti yoga. We are going to talk about devotion, which is the English of bhakti yoga. People hardly nowadays relate yoga with bhakti, with devotion, or yoga with service, with karma yoga, or yoga with gyan yoga, or the art of discrimination, the art of trying to rationalize and finding the truths of existence through a rational, intellectual process. So that has completely disappeared from the concept of yoga. So today, on this special day, World Yog Day, we will tackle questions which we have received from people on devotion, and that is very important to to reiterate the fact that yoga is not only restricted to some physical activities. It's a process, it's a correction. But we'll talk about it more later. First, let us hear the questions from our anchors.
Yes, Maharaj. You rightly said that yoga and yoga, these two words, people are just playing with these words. But my one little question is there: if the yoga concept is spreading all over, then people are knowing about this yoga in the term of yoga. What is the harm in it actually?
Now, I think I have already explained that there is an attempt to secularize everything, secularize, keep God, divinity, religion out of everything, out of politics, out of education, out of mainstream media, out of intellectual processes, out of literature, famous literature, Nobel Prize winning literature, Pulitzer Prize award winning literature, out of films, out of everything, out of science, out of everything. There's a global kind of a conspiracy to try and make things homogeneous, because true religion, I think, we make a distinction also between religion and spirituality. But remember, all religious movements had or have spiritual beginnings. Think about Jesus. Think about Buddha. Think about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Their movements later became religion, but they were great spiritual masters who actually taught spirituality. I would have talked about this in the talk about devotion, the questions that have come. But I think it's let's say it's a conspiracy to try and remove the concept that there is a energy within each of us which takes us to a maximum level of happiness, bliss, satisfaction, peace, truth. You see, that potential has to be destroyed. That is the conspiracy. So yoga has been secularized. I think I've answered this question before. That's why I'm repeating it. Yoga has been secularized to keep it confined within these physical and mental activities so that people cannot think of yoga as a way of freedom, spiritual freedom, because keeping the people in bondage is the purpose, not keeping giving people the chance to attain freedom. So I understand that is there is the harm, there is the danger. Now, if you come to the questions,
Yes, yes. Thank you, Maharaj, for nicely explaining what the conspiracy is going on with these words. So today, some queries has come on Bhakti Yoga.
yes.
First query has come from Stella Tota. Uh, Stella Tota asked, Maharaj, I'll be greatly enriched if you discuss with us the tenets of Bhakti Yoga. Uh, in the same line, Antonello asked that, Good morning, Maharaj. I finally managed to write my question. I hope you can respond in the live session. For almost 2000 years, the church has despotically impose its own view of God. As a consequence, now many people here regard him and the divine in general as nonsense. In this context, how can there be room for devotion and the role it can play in our lives? So these two questions had come from Stella Tota and Antonello on Bhakti Yoga. You can please answer this question, Maharaj, please.
Okay. Thank you, Devashish, and thank you, Stella and Antonello, for your questions. I will start with Antonello's query first. You see, you have yourself mentioned that the despotic church has imposed a version of God on the masses. So I am not expecting people to have devotion for the church. I'm not expecting people to have devotion for the Pope or for the priest. They are not divine. They don't have to be. They're just middlemen. You can see, you can say, towards middleman of divinity or devotion, whatever. Number one, but the institution or the organization actually represents the life of Jesus. Whether they do it authentically or not, there can be a lot of debate. Yes, we have already talked about it in another episode. But I am sure most people who have some spiritual interest will admire the life of Jesus, full of love, full of forgiveness, full of sacrifice, and full of, in a way, sadhana also. He had done a lot of sadhana, a lot of spiritual pursuit while he was in India. So, his life, what he stood for, can still be a force for somebody who wants to be, wants to go in the path of devotion. He could be the aim or the purpose of that person without having to take resort to the church. Why do we need the church to worship or to pray or to do meditation on Jesus? Why do we need any organization? We are completely free to do so. Now, if you do not have respect for Jesus, I mean, not enough respect, if you think that the church has maligned the life of Jesus, that is the problem with the church, not with the life of Jesus. You see? So I think that distinction is very important. So if you have love, respect, and total admiration for Jesus, if you feel that Jesus is a manifestation of a divine energy, then there is no problem for you to think of him as your personal God and to move along the line without having to feel that you are part of a Christian community, without having to adhere to the norms of the church, like going for confessions and all that, you see, or attending church every Sunday in the morning, without doing that. So that you can do. And if, but there are also other options. Study, travel, go to places, study the lives of other great personalities. For example, the Buddha, for example, the Mahavir, for example, Sri Ramakrishna. I mean, divinity is not Indian, divinity is not Italian, divinity is not Roman, divinity is not Israel, divinity is divinity. You see? So go to these places, especially to India, because there you will know what is bhakti, what is devotion. Maybe people worship Shiva, maybe people worship Krishna, maybe they worship their guru, but there is a lot of devotion and lots of ways of devotion, and we will talk about them. So visit these places, and maybe you will find someone, something to really, where you really want to be devoted to. You see, if you have a spiritual interest, because spirituality is a huge subject, it is not something that you sit in your room and you play with your mobile and do your work and then start becoming spiritual. No, if you have an interest, you follow, you pursue, you do study on this, you do research on this, you travel to places, you meet people who are in the spiritual path, you talk to them, you mix with them, and slowly the devotion will start to come within you, maybe for a particular personality. So there is no problem. There are in India there can be countless personal gods. There's a word for that. It is called Ishta. Ishta, that which is good for me. So your Ishta can be different from my Ishta. It doesn't have to be the one Ishta for all. That is the problem with Christianity. That is a problem with Islam. That is a problem with Judaism. That they impose this one God on everybody. You see? So that is very important to understand. That in India, the whole concept of divinity has been represented allegorically and beautifully, poetically, through symbols, through images, through forms. For example, Omkar is a symbol. If you don't know what Omkar is, one day we will talk about it. Shivalinga, if you have ever seen a Shivalinga, it's a symbol. Narayan Shila is a symbol. If you come to India, you will see all these things, and these are very important, powerful tools, and they can be the Ishta from a worldly point of view, or let's say from a rationalistic point of view. A Shiva Linga is just a particular shape, just a piece of stone, but that shape becomes the Ishta. It means it becomes a point of your concentration. You see? And there are personalities, like there are these many gods in heaven also, whoever you prefer. There are many goddesses in India, like Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, Saraswati, many goddesses in India. And there are many great spiritual personalities, as I had mentioned already, Buddha. Then I have also mentioned Sri Ramakrishna. Then if you ever take Diksha from your Guru, even he can become your Ishta. If to you he personifies great wisdom, great love, great service, then he becomes your Ishta. When you concentrate on him, then your greatness of wisdom, of love, and all these things start to expand. These potentials start to blossom. You see? So I hope, Antonello, you have got an idea of what I'm trying to say. The fact that the church is despotic, I mean, not only the church, which religion is not? You're not aware of other religions. There are many, many branches of Hinduism. Hinduism is not a religion. There is no such religion by the name of Hinduism. But there are many religions which each have different names. And most of them are very, very narrow minded. Most of them are very like fundamentalists. Their belief system is the only truth that should be applicable to everybody. Same with Islam, you see. So that is a problem of religious organizations. That is a problem of religious institutions. That is not the problem of devotion. That is not the problem of meditation or dhyan. That is not the problem of discrimination. You see? So I think that answers your question. Now, Stella Tota, Stella, you have asked a question which is a very huge spectrum. Let me start at the beginning. First of all, you see, for example, as we were talking about the World Yog Day. So what happens? What is Yog actually? Yog means not only a connection, a deep contact, a deep connection, an intimate connection. When that connection with the divine is through the body and energy of the body, then it is called the Hatha Yoga, the yoga of the body. When that connection is the life force of the body with the life force of the universe, then we call it pranayam or kriya yoga. When the connection is with the mind, then we call that raj yoga, which leads to samadhi. In the same way, when the connection with the divine is through emotion, is through passion, that is called bhakti yoga or devotion, the art of devotion. I think that has to be absolutely clear. That was point number one. Point number two is this emotion is probably the most important aspect of human beings. You see, we are attracted to love instinctively, not to knowledge. Knowledge is not never the priority. Even with knowledge, we accept to learn from somebody only if we start to love him. Maybe somebody is giving a great lecture. Now, if I find a personal rapport with that person, if I find a personal connection, if somewhere deep in my heart, without even my knowing, I begin to love him, love his presence, love his way of speaking, love his personality, then I'm more receptive to the knowledge. And if there's a relationship that I can develop with him, then I will take more whatever he has to say. The more the relationship becomes intimate, the more I want to learn from him. I want to grasp every part of what he is saying. I want to pursue him. I want to follow him. You see? So that is why emotion is very important. Why do I say that? Because we are all driven by emotion. And emotion leads to what? A relationship. Without a relationship, how is it possible to ever find some meaning, even in our spiritual pursuits? That is why the relationship with the divine is very important. You see? Very, very important. So when we move, when we progress, we have to have a relationship with the divine. And that relationship will lead us to devotion. In worldly sense, that was the second point. In the worldly sense, we talk about love. You see, we all the time we talk about love. You do, I do, we all do. But is there really love? What is the meaning of love? Why do we want to enjoy love? Because in love, there comes a moment or two when we lose the sense of I. And that gives us tremendous freedom, tremendous bliss, because that is infinite love. But in worldly sense, it is so very difficult to achieve it. Why? Because we are so full of that I, what I want, what I desire, what I expect from a relationship. It's always like give and take. In our case, in the worldly case, it's like take and then, if possible, give. We always want something from relationships. So that kills the divine elements potentially hidden in the relationship. I hope you understand what I mean. For example, some of my friends tell me that I think now I need a partner. You see, nowadays they don't even say I need a lover, because the word partner is a very clever word. It means I need somebody like a mate, somebody with whom I will live and have fun and have sex and have spend some time together, so I won't be so alone. And it also means that in our spiritual path, he or she will be a partner. So the word partner has a dual meaning for them. So that's why they don't use the word lover, you see. So when I hear such an announcement, I think I need a partner, that means there will never be any love in that. Because you are not looking, people don't really look for partners and then find love. Love happens. Like a tree doesn't say, I think I need a flower. A tree doesn't think in those terms. It doesn't have to. It just grows and blossoms and the flowers start to come. In the same way, when in the course of our experiences, whatever we are doing, even when we are lonely, there may happen something, some kind of a connection with somebody. We were not prepared for it. We were not seeking it out from anybody. And then people just fall in love. I mean, that's how they use in English. Though I would prefer to say people should rise in love. They fall. When we fall, we get hurt. You see, when we fall, we can break our bones. But when we are in love, then the best in us should come out. If there is real elements of love in that, it is very important to understand. Even worldly love, we are constantly using for everything, even for dogs and cats and dolls, for father and for mother and for friends and for wife and for girlfriends. Everywhere we are using this word flippantly. In Sanskrit, in Bengali, and other Indian languages, Bharatiya languages, there are many words, each word for each relationship. Love between parents and the children, love of the parents for the children. There is one particular word or few words. Then the love of the children for their parents, again, other set of words. Love between friends, another word. Love or admiration between rivals and foes, another word. Love for the guru, love for wise people, another love. So each and every relationship, I mean, each and every type of relationship has a different name. So it's very important when we use certain very deep words which actually have spiritual significance. We should be careful about that. So here in the with for our advantage, for our convenience, when we talk about spiritual love, we will keep it simple. We will say divine love for today's discussion, for the sake of today's discussion. Spiritual love, then divine love. So, Stella, the first lesson now is that for Bhakti Yog, you need what do you want? In fact, every person wants that. Every person who is spiritually inclined actually wants to find love. So there is an element of devotee in each one of us. In each one of us, even the greatest yogi, if he is a yogi, he will be a devotee. He will be madly in love with something, with somebody, with some personality maybe, with some symbol maybe, or with even with the idea of divinity. But the problem is that if I say that divinity and it has no particular form, it is formless. Very good. That's good for discrimination. That's good for scientific analysis. That's good to understand the world. That's good to understand time, space, matter, gravity, life, body, evolution, everything. But can you love that entity? Can I tell you ever, Stella, consciousness prevails. Consciousness is immortal. Love consciousness. Can you say consciousness is like my father? Can you say consciousness is like my mother, my brother, my lover, when there is no form in front of you? Because you are used to people you love who have a form, who have a body, who have eyes, who talk, who relate with you, and you relate with them. So how can you suddenly start to love a concept, an ideological concept, a truth which you haven't realized, a truth which you cannot never see, which you cannot never hear? You can't even hear the flute of consciousness unless that consciousness comes in the form of Krishna. You see? So you need a manifestation. This aspect needs to be reiterated again. That is why I had already mentioned that Ishta is personal God. And the parampara is, the tradition is in our land. It is not something that you choose randomly. It's not something, okay, I think I like Krishna. Shiva is fine, but I like Krishna. I'll choose Krishna. It's not something that you go to the mall and you pick up an ishta for yourself. It's a choice that your guru makes based on your nature, based on your own unique individual characteristics, which are again based on your previous lives, the experiences that you had, whether you had ever been in the spiritual path. All these things decide whether what should be your ishta. Somebody, maybe they come to Bengal and they see the figure of Kali and they say, okay, Kali, yes, Kali is the right, image for me. Kali is correct, right. And then he or she starts eating vegetarian, which is completely against the concept of Kali. When you're a Kali worshipper, you're a Shakta. Shakta means Shakti, energy. People have to eat and drink very strong food and strong stuff as part of the sadhana. You start eating vegan food and start worshipping Kali is a complete contradiction. That is what we, these are the mistakes that we make when we think that we can choose. You see, it's not a choice, it's something that is given to you, gifted to you. It's a blessing. From whom? From your guru at the time of taking diksha or initiation. So that again, yeah, has to be understood. So the idea is to have to see the nature of your emotion and to develop a relationship. First, you have to know your ishta, but before even knowing the ishta, you have to know about at least some of the traditions of jog, of bhakti, devotion, before you start to really find some energy and excitement in the process. And you want to do sadhana not just to be happy and peaceful and calm and relaxed, who sleeps well and eats well and keeps calm in a crisis, not for that, but for your spiritual growth, for your spiritual involution, the upwards movement of your spiritual energy. For that, you need to develop a kind of great passion for people who are really in the spiritual path, for wisdom, of knowledge about the spiritual path. Then the emotions will start to work. Otherwise, you have only emotions for your personal worldly relationships. Maybe you're a very emotional person, but for spirituality, you think there we have to keep the emotion aside. We have to do strong meditation and all that. These are all nonsense. You need the emotion, but it has to be a kind of a divine purpose, an emotion with a divine purpose. And that is where Ishta comes in. So once you know your Ishta, then relationship. And now we will talk about specifically fourth point, relationship. In Bhakti Yoga, or in Bhakti Yog rather, I am also making the same mistake. In Bhakti Yog, you build up a relationship with your Ishta, with your divine aspect. Our Guruji, you can see his image behind my head. He used to say, divine aspect. The focus, your concentration, your focus. So the first part, there are many types of people, as I have said. Once again, the same rule does not apply for all. Even devotion has lots of diversity. Why? Because there are many different types of individuals, different types of nature. The first bhav, or the first emotional mood, is called shanto, calm, quiet, still, which you can say is the mood of our rishis. Rishis are also devotees, but they are not crying and embracing and laughing and jumping. They are still silent, full of love, but calm. It's a wonderful state. Their heart is full of emotion, but the expression is only calm and peaceful. For example, if you see the image of Buddha, it's not really a fully an image of nirvana. It's not fully an image of realization. It's an image of assurance. It's an image of love for whole of life forms, not only mankind, or not only humankind, the whole of life force, the life beings, everybody, all the creatures on the planet, or even the universe. It's like a reassurance. Don't worry. Just go, move on. Everything is fine. Don't worry. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to solve any problem. Just relax. The answer is within yourself. So that is the mood or the bhav of the rishis. Shanto, calm. Next bhav or the next mood is very difficult to say. It is called dasho in Bengali or even in Sanskrit. Usually for dash we have words like servant. The word servant has come from serve, from service. But that word has become like somebody who is like a paid, almost a slave. Word servant has come. Let's say server, one who serves and doesn't serve for money. He's not like a service provider, like your cell phone network is. And you have to pay for that. You see? He's like a server. And his ishta to him or to her is like a master. Also, it can be because we are all in duality. To him, that Ishta can represent fullness, unlimited. And he or she thinks of himself as a limit because he's still ignorant. It's for example, a relationship between, let's say, a teacher and a student, or a mother and a child, or a guru and a disciple. Dash, if you want classic example, which is always quoted, if you know the story of Ramayana, Hanuman, the great devotee of Ram, he was not only a great devotee, he was a very, very wise and courageous man, very brave, but a great devotee. He was completely surrendered to Ram. So much so that he used to say to Ram, "Dear Lord, sometimes I feel that you are whole, unlimited, and I'm just a speck. Sometimes I feel that I am whole, unlimited, and you're just a form. Sometimes I feel that you and I are one." That is the ultimate of this mood. This, let's say, the server master mood. That is Ishta. Then, Sakhya, the friendly mood. The third, the friendly mood. How to give an example? In order to give you an example, I'll tell you a little story. When you think of your Ishta, not as the all-wise, great manifestation, you think of your Ishta as your friends. Somebody you can play with, somebody you can argue with, somebody you can talk with, somebody who can advise you and you listen to his advice, somebody who can scold you and you won't take offense, and you also can scold him and he won't take offense. So that's the friendly mood and very intimate. It's more intimate than any other relationship for that particular person. If you are in a Sakha mood, for example, then that friendship with your Ishta is paramount, is priority for you, is more important than every other relationship in this world. Then it becomes a divine process. You see? So, as I was saying, I will tell you a story. Sudama was a great friend of Krishna. Sudama. They grew up together, Krishna and Sudama, in Vrindavan. Now, Krishna, as you know, is a Kshatriya. Kshatriya, that means there's a warrior class, let's say. But Sudama was a Brahmin. He was from a Brahmin family. That means the priestly class. Let's say that, yes, the priestly class. So they grew up together, very intimate, playing together, fighting with each other. They could not even live 1 second without each other. So they were tremendous friendship. But after a few years, when Krishna grew up, then he had to go to Mathura to become the king, you see. And then finally, later, to Dwaraka, where he set up a huge, wonderful kingdom, which was, let's say, a land of miracles. It was so glorious, far, far, far better than all the smart cities that we can conceive of today. So there was no connection between Sudama and Krishna for a long time. And Sudama was very poor. There was a lot of poverty because he was a Brahmin, you see. Unlike the mainstream narrative that Brahmins are oppressors, Brahmins were actually very poor economically. Yes, they were intellectually superior, and they were in charge of, they were like guardians of the society. They were in charge of the moral, religious, spiritual ethics, let's say, of the common person. So when people usually invited them for some puja, for some worship, for some little festival in the house, new house, housewarming festival, wedding, death, special pujas, personal pujas. So there, when a particular Brahmin person does not get invited very often, then where does he earn from? If people don't invite, it's not kind of work that you go to the field and start working. If you work, you get it, but it's your choice. But here he has to wait. A Brahmin has to wait. So usually, and these Brahmins did not have any special fees like for your puja, the housewarming puja. Let's say I will take 500 rupees. No, that system was not there. He used to do puja, and if as a gratitude they offered some money, it's okay. Or maybe they offered some clothes. Money was not at all very important in those days. Maybe they offered some food like rice, like vegetables. That's all. So it was a great struggle for Sudama, you see, when he had grown and maybe for some reason he could not find work. He was a very nice person. So his wife used to pester him. Why don't you go to your friend Krishna? He's now so powerful. He's now so rich, full of splendor. We hear stories. And you were such great friends, for intimate friends. Sudama said, don't even mention that. You see? He is now a different person. He must be a different person now. Rich man, you see? You know how rich men are. And king. He's the king of Dwaraka. Before he was a Mathura. So I don't think that he will even recognize me. And I won't even be able to go up to him, you see? His security guards will kick me out. No, no, he will not forget you. He really loved you. We know Krishna from a young age. Maybe his life has changed, but he has not changed, I'm sure. The wife also was very fond of Krishna. So after a lot of pestering, then her husband agreed. And she said, please, please, do not forget to mention, as at least in passing, you see, my friend Krishna, I have to struggle a lot. There's a deep poverty in my household. Do mention, yeah, there are children, there's education, a lot of things to fend for. Very difficult. Life is getting very difficult. Please mention. So they said, no, 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 that is not possible. Please don't tell me to ask for money. No, you're not asking. He's just giving you news. He will ask you, how are you? How is your wife? How are your children? You will just say, yes, everything is okay. But there's deep poverty. Then he will understand. Sudama said, please, I'll try not to say that. But since you insist, okay, let's see. Let me see whether they even allow me to go near him. So with his heart panting, he reached the palace. It was a long journey. And I forgot also to mention that his wife knew that Krishna loved a kind of rice. It is called, let's say, like puffed rice is a kind of rice, muri. Another thing is called chira, you can say in English. Just simple food. We mixing it up with some sweets and maybe some other salty stuff. But as children, they used to find it very, very tasty. Sudama's wife knew. So she rather, she packed some of this chira to Sudama and said, give it to Krishna. He said, are you mad? You know what kind of food he has these days? And these are for cowherds, people who tend to cows. He used to be a cowherd before. You think he's still a cowherd? You are still thinking of that boy in the village. And you were also a little girl at that time. He's with his flute as he's moving around with the cows. At that time, there was no, lavish food available to him. Nobody could give him sumptuous meals. He could only have some milk maybe and some kheer and some yogurt. That was a big thing for us. He used to share it with us. So you don't even think, oh, no, take it. Maybe he will accept. Don't worry. So he reached this palace with this little sack of chira. Long journey. He was very tired. And the security asked, of course, big palace, big security arrangements. They asked him from where he came from, and he said, I'm coming from Vrindavan. So they did not hesitate. He also said, the person who is a king was once upon a time my best friend. And I think I was also his best friend. So, okay, no problem. Come. So, okay. And took him straight to the hall where Krishna was sitting on the throne with all his ministers, all his associates, a big pomp and decoration there. It was awe-inspiring for Sudama. He had never seen such kind of a building. He could not imagine being a Brahmin who lived in a little cottage, that one person needs so much to stay, such huge spaces and such decorations to live. But as soon as Krishna as soon as Krishna saw Sudama, he immediately came down from the throne and embraced his friends heartily, like a long lost friend. Krishna was so happy, and they started even punching each other like old times. And then Krishna forced Sudama to sit on the throne, and he sat at his feet because Sudama is a Brahmin. You see, Brahmins, though they were poor, they had a lot of respect from other people, from people of other, let's say, systems. I won't use the word caste. It's again a very, very strange word which has got nothing to do with the Varna system in India or in Bharat. That is just the Varna. So the other Varnas, they had a lot of respect for the highest Varna, the guardian class, the intellectual class. Maybe they were very poor. So he was doing this. He was pressing the feet of Sudama, washing them with water, as is a custom in India after a long journey. If somebody washes your feet with cold water, the whole body becomes cool. The heat dissipates and you feel relaxed. So Sudama realized that my friend has not changed at all. He was so happy. He was really pleased. So he remembered that his wife had told him to mention about the poverty, that they were poor, but he decided, I will not do that. Not with him. He's still so loving. He's still the same. Why will I talk about my problems? People go to the king to talk about their problems. He's not a king. He's my friend. You see? So they spend the whole day together. Krishna asked him repeatedly, how's your wife? What about the children? And he told them they are fine, they are doing well, and all that. And then Krishna said, hasn't she sent me at least some cheetah for me? Krishna said, oh, yes, 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 I forgot. The way you hosted me, the way you entertained me, I completely forgot that I had something to give you. Yes, of course, but will you take such, little cheap stuff? Of course. And I won't give you my share. I'm eating this after such a long time, after so many years. He started eating with so much relish that he started telling Sudama, tell your wife, beautiful, delicious, wonderful, the taste will linger for a long time. So Sudama was very happy. He was very, really happy. And in happiness, tears were coming down from his eyes. He realized that more than money, more than home, more than fame, more than prestige, this friendship, this kind of friendship, this rare kind of friendship. He had so many other friends, but nobody was like Krishna. This is rare. This is something to be treasured, a lifetime experience. So realize that. That is the realization that I'm talking about, Stella. This is a divine relationship. There is no expectation. Krishna's love for Sudama, there is no expectations. And in that love, it destroys that element of expectation little bit in Sudama's heart. He wipes it out with love, not with the Shiva energy, but with total love. He realizes, what is my trifle expectation? I want stability, security. This is nonsense. I can die for this relationship. Is it this? This I is disappearing. That is the ultimate of Sakya Bhav, the friendly mood. You see? So after spending a wonderful day with Krishna, they had lunch together, just like old times. They, they lay down to rest in the afternoon together. Krishna ignored all other duties, his domestic duties, his kingly duties, his responsibilities, everything. He gave information out that today I am totally engaged with my friend. Don't disturb me. My friend has come after so many years. And then it was time to say goodbye. So Sudama said goodbye tearfully. Oh, what a day I spent, Krishna. After such a long time, I felt so happy, so delighted, so elated, so full. Now, no worries in the world, just love of the friend. You're with me, even when you're not talking with me. I'm so happy. So Krishna was also very happy. And he said, just at the time of goodbye, he said, I know that why you had come. I know what was going on in your mind. You're always in my heart. Don't worry. Things will even out. Everything will become smoother from now on. There will be more stability, more security. Maybe you won't be rich. No, you don't need to be rich. You're a wonderful person. You don't need to be rich. But there will be more. You don't have to worry anymore. So that was a blessing or a kind of a boon that Krishna gave by himself, of his own vocation. You see? It was not something that Sudama asked for. It is a gift of love. It's not something, look, I'm doing this for you. No. It's the least that I can do for this friendship. It was like that. It was given. As if it's a heart full of gratitude. He's expressing that gratitude with this gift. So Sudama was very happy and returned home, and he met his wife. After the great experience, his wife was also very happy that Krishna had greeted him and spent the day so wonderfully, so beautifully. The wife was also very happy. So this is Sakya Bhav. So if there is a person in our life who represents the manifestation, then that is wonderful. But that happens very rarely. For example, I can tell you from my own experience. For us, our Guru, Swami Paramananda, is that Ishta and that friend and the teacher and the Guru, everything. You see, we don't have to really think about who our Ishta is. That is a beauty, that is a potential of a divine manifestation, completely divine manifestation. But if you are not that lucky, I mean, if you're just sitting at your home and wondering, how will I find that? That is not the answer. Or if you think by watching some YouTube videos, maybe I will be able to find that divine person. No, there is no sort of shortcut. There is no kind of a easy way. The fact that you have to really go to places is part of your sadhana. The fact that you have to reach remote areas to find knowledge, to find great realized personalities is a part of your sadhana. That will change you. That travel, those pilgrimage, the pilgrim's journey will change you. It will take you from the worldly to the divine. I hope you have understood this point. So, first, Shanto, calm. Second, Dasya, the server master mood. Third, Sakhya, the friendly mood. Fourth, another beautiful word, it is called Vatsalya. You can say this the motherly energy, not the feminine energy. Feminine energy is different. It is not the motherly, the feminine energy could be a part of the motherly energy. It's a motherly energy, the energy that makes us care, protect something which is helpless, something which is small. So that can happen not only to women, that can happen also to men, that can happen even to a child. For example, if you see an 8-year-old girl with a 4-year-old brother of that girl, you will see to that brother, when there is no grown up around, to that brother, the girl, the elder sister, is like a mother. You see? So it doesn't have to be an age factor also. So this motherly energy, because this is very strong, we all know how strong, how deep, how passionate a mother's love is. So can you love God or a divinity, a form of divinity, as if that form of divinity is your child and you are the mother? That is the sadhana or the path of, let's say, Mother Mary. That is the sadhana or the path of, let's say, from, if you take example from Mahabharata, of Jashoda, who was the foster mother of Sri Krishna. So where the divine form is with you and a particular relationship has developed with him. In this case, a motherly energy. In Bharat, and especially in Bengal, there is one form of Krishna who is known as Gopal. You see? So Gopal is the baby form, the child form of Krishna. I hope you understand. You get my point. So I think I'll take a break here. 1 second. কোনো প্রবলেম হচ্ছে কি? একটু মানে যদি শান্ত থাকে সবাই। Okay. So uh, so as I was saying, if you can, the baby form of Krishna is called Gopal, coming from the word Gopalak. That means a herd of cows. So because Krishna, from a very childhood stage, he was looking after cows. He used to take a lot of cows to the fields, to the pastures. He used to play the flute. The cows used to love him. All the cows of Vrindavan. not only the cows that belong to their family. Even as a child, he loved them and they loved him. And as a child, he was a very, very lovable boy. As he grew up into an adolescent, he was also lovable. Everybody wanted to picking him up and hug him and take him around, and and used to request Yashoda, today I'll keep him in my house, okay? I just cuddle him, I'll keep him. So in Bengal, Krishna is not everywhere. I mean, as a living form. So they have images of Gopal. It could be images of mud, it could be pictorial images, it could be images of stone, little Gopal. And the person who is the devotee, the one who is worshipping, she, or it can also be he, but that doesn't happen usually, who has a lot of mother energy in that person. Maybe her own children had grown up and become men and women, you see, and they are now have their own life. Maybe she is childless. Maybe her children have died from some disease or in wars. It could be, or it could be just she has. Even when she has babies and children, she wants to have a form whom she can love totally as a mother loves a child. Without the child growing up and beginning to change and starting to argue and starting to have an ego, you see, all these problems start when they start to grow up. Then the more the surrender element goes away, the more the matritva element also starts to become a little impure. Because in worldly mother love, there is a lot of expectations. Not only romantic love. In everywhere, you will see mothers have a lot of expectations from their children. If they don't grow up according to their expectations, there are tensions. And as you say, generation gap, and the children are moving away from their parents and from values and traditions and all this. Why does this happen? Because on both sides, there are expectations. There are demands. I did all this for you. I sort of bore you for 10 months. And then I breastfed you for such a long time. And then I took care of you every second. And now you are arguing. Now you have developed a mind of your own. And you think you are right and the mother is wrong. So I have done all this. What I'm expecting a total surrender from you. So the mother energy gets, you can say, polluted by this. So when you have Gopal in front of you, you can fully express that mother energy if you are keen, if you really want to. But that mother energy for Gopal is not for just someone, not for just a baby. It's not an image of a baby, any baby. It's an image of a baby Krishna. And who is Krishna? He is the universe. He is the infinite. He is divine love. He is divine wisdom. You see? So the more you start to love that form as a little child, but a child who is everything, the more that bigness, that space, the greatness starts to expand in your own heart. And that takes you to the ultimate, to the time when Yashoda does not exist anymore as a person. Only Krishna does, or only Gopal does. To Samadhi. So that is Vatsalya. Now we had covered 4. The last is Madhur. Let's say romantic. And that is where I think most people, modern day people, are interested in. Because they think that is an excuse for sex. It's an excuse for spirituality. It's an excuse for partner. You know, so it's the best thing for us without realizing the intensity of the madhur bhav, the let's say romantic mood. Again, romantic is a very very poor translation of the word madhur. You see, why is Krishna, especially during his time in Vrindavan, the only real model of all these kinds of relationships? Because in Vrindavan, he was not powerful, he was not rich, he was not showing off miracles, he was not reciting the Gita, he was not a warrior, he was not a king, he was not a king's son, just an ordinary cowherd. We call cowherd, cowboy. Sorry, not cowherd, cowboy. Just an ordinary cowboy. So there was nothing particularly quantitative which people were attracted to. For example, Krishna had a great house in Vrindavan. No. For example, Krishna has wears beautiful clothes. No, not at all. That he's very tall and handsome. No, ordinary. Very black, shining black. And yes, very beautiful, but in a different sense. That his presence exuded an aura which inspired everybody around him love, confidence, happiness. Even the trees and the animals and the birds. So all these relationships that I'm talking about have a connection with the childhood of Krishna. Why not with the Krishna of the future, the Krishna who will be a great king, a great warrior, a great diplomat, a great politician, a great charioteer, lot of qualities. Why not that? Because there are qualities in that life, qualities that you can talk of. As a child, he did not show or did not manifest any of these qualities. Yes, he had all the siddhis, all the powers, but he never demonstrated them. Only in a crisis, there were demonstrations from him. You see, he used to play the flute. I mean, I don't know. Nobody has mentioned whether he was a great flute player. In those days, people really did not compare. Like you see, in the other village of Vrindavan, that cowboy, he plays the flute better, I think, than Krishna. No, these kind of comparisons were not. He just played the flute. He did not even learn it from anywhere. And he just went to the fields with the cows. And he played with everybody who came to him. And all these girls, some of them were much older to him. A few of them were married. The chief one, Radha, sometimes called Sri Radha, because out of respect. She was married. She had a family. And they fell in love with a child, maybe 13 years, 14 years. A boy, let's say. Not a baby, but a boy. It's very important. This age is very important. That is just before the puberty starts. There is a fullness of life. Just before he went off to attend his brahmacharya session, a few years. So just pre-puberty child is that model of the lover Krishna. Is a model of that romantic, full of romance. And that is not just an ordinary romance. It's a divine romance. almost all the young ladies of Vrindavan, married, unmarried, young, even not so young, they were madly in love with Krishna. And they would never be able to say for what qualities. They just could not live without Krishna. They could not breathe without Krishna. The love was so full and so selfless, their love for Krishna. They were not even thinking about marriage and having a family, and Krishna could be the father of my child. All this nonsense, they were not thinking about. They were just loving him and enjoying the love that he had for them. You see, they used to play together, quarrel together, dance together. So it's full of stories about Krishna and the gopis and Radha. I'll not go into all the details. It's a separate subject altogether. You see, but I'll just explain to you one thing. This Madhur Bhav, or this great romantic divine relationship, has other elements ingrained within it. All the relationships that we were talking about so far. For example, calmness is also very much there in romance. You need to be calm. You cannot afford to be excited. Even at the time of sexual contact, that calmness has to be there all the time. Still, at the same time, you need to feel that I am the server and my lover is the master. You need to feel that way. At the same time, like in every romantic relationship, you see, there are moments when the male partner is like the father and the female partner is like the daughter. And there are moments when the female partner is like the mother and the male partner is like the son. We call it in sort of colloquial English, she has to mother her lover. He has to father his wife, because even the grown-ups in us, even we are very grown up, we still sometimes feel like a child. We need to protect it. We need somebody to assure us. We need to feel that we are warm and safe in a relationship. In a way that the heart instinctively is asking for some motherly protection. You see? It can happen even among friends. There can be some vatsalya. So you see, that element is there in that romantic love, even in a worldly romantic love. The element of friendship is very much there. In fact, romance is a consequence of friendship. Even if you are in love, the moment you set eyes on her or him, even that's from the romance, it develops into a deep, deep friendship while the romance is intact. At the same time, there are moments of motherly love, there are moments of calmness, there are moments when you feel like a server in in very intense situations. When the other person has taken command of in a crisis, then you are not talking about equal rights. He just tells you, or she just tells you, no, just lock the door. I'll see what I can do. And you immediately run and lock the door without knowing why you are locking the door. Put off the switch, put off the lights, and you do it. You understand that he knows better in this moment of crisis. He's the master. He's the one who rules. At other times, you are the master. And he's the one who is following orders. You are the master because you are an expert. You specialize. Maybe it's a food that you're cooking. Maybe it's some interior decoration that you're doing. Maybe you're changing the curtains. And your partner knows nothing about these things. For him, it's a boring job. For you, it's an exciting job, but you need his help. So then you become the master and he becomes the server. You see, so that is these are just examples. So all these moods, the calm mood, the server mood, the friendly mood, and the mothering fathering mood, or the mothering mood, or the parenting mood. I think this is better. The parenting mood are all ingrained in the romantic mood. These moods plus a sexual attraction for each other that has the potential. Not that everybody, in most cases, it is not, it does not go there. That has the potential to develop into madhur bhav, or a romantic, divine relationship, and that has to happen with somebody like Krishna, who is really, literally, figuratively, in all senses, who is really capable. It's very important, this word, who is really capable of filling you up with everything that your life had ever needed, more than you ever wanted. The potential for the explosion of energy and the ecstasy that can potentially come, you were even never even aware that that was ever there within you. See, it can be so great that both together mutually can go into samadhi, can go into a great trance at even a deeper level. And I'm not making this up. This is not some weird story from some fairy tale. At even a deeper level, this kind of a romantic divine union is not even sex anymore. It's a union, three-bodied union: physical, mental, spiritual. In the most intense mood, the two bodies can even disappear. They do physically disappear for seconds, maybe for minutes also. Nothing is there anymore. They become unembodied in love, because only love is true, and divine love. Rest is all brief maya, illusion of that love. We are just reflections of that love. You see? So that true love becomes, when it becomes totally embodied in let's say the pair, then the two dissolves into one, and even the bodies are no more. Then again they can reappear. They do. In deep, intense sadhana for great sages and practitioners and bowls, very, very rarely, maybe once in a, let's say, once in 100 years, this can happen. They take to this kind of heights. This is what Krishna could do. And you know the greatness of Krishna. He could do this with many women at a time, not different times. I think it will be very difficult for you to understand this. But this is what the potential is of devotion. All the other forms, let's say Rajyog, Kriyajog, they have all potential to take you to the transcendental level. But nothing will give you love. Without love, you are never complete. Love is the main driving force. That is why most people who just do Kriyajog without any kind of emotion, without having any spiritual divine relationship with anybody, not even the guru, where the guru is just a source of information, where guru just is as a person from whom you take diksha and you pay some money, you see, then where is the enjoyment? Where is the delight of that journey that you are making? Same is true for Rajyog. Where is the delight? Same is true for Gyanjog. Where is the enjoyment? Where is the bliss? Where is happiness? Where is the discovery? But, for example, if you love, really love Krishna, and you want to listen, you want to know about him, not only about Krishna the personality, also Krishna the concept, Krishna what he stands for. You will be very, very interested because you love Krishna. It's not Krishna is a figure with whom, about whom you are interested because it is good for your spirituality. No, that is not the way. You see, that's a very dry thing, and after a few days you will start getting bored or you will getting depressed. That's why people get so much depressed doing yoga. When they become yoga teachers, they become so much depressed. There is no divinity. There is no personal God. There is no emotion. There is no love. There is no journey. The heart remains dry. It's only the nose and the lungs that are breathing. You see, doing pranayam. It is a closed eyes and your mind which is trying to imagine some sunshine, a sunrise on the sea. Where is the heart? Where is the relationship? That's why bhakti yoga is not only it is wonderful and ecstatic at the end, it is also wonderful while you're in the journey. It is never dry. It's just like a relationship when it starts to develop, even with a child, it is never dry. It is always something is happening, always exciting. It's a journey, it's a discovery. You see? So we have almost approached the end of our time. So there is no room for expanding anymore. But this is a topic, as I had already said, that we can talk and the talk can go on and on and on forever. So I hope, Stella, I've been able to give you, even Antonello, I think, I've been able to give you some idea, a kind of I've been able to offer you some kind of a spectrum about devotion in the spiritual sense. Emotion, relationship to devotion. It's something that you do. It's not something that you talk about much. It's not something that you read about. You see, if you ask me to tell you about my relationship with my guru, it's very difficult to talk about. These things are difficult to talk about because they are so deep, they are so precious. As they remain unuttered, the more beautiful it is for me. You see, this is something you have to experience. And devotion in the present world is very important. Forget about secularism. Kick it out. Forget about this dry nonsense yoga. Even if you are doing exercise and yogasana, okay, do. But devotion, find that aspect. Or wait for your guru to find that aspect for you, or the divine aspect for you. And then be in love with that completely. Be fully committed. And later move towards complete surrender. We want freedom from bondage. And the greatest bondage is the ego. You see, we think economy is a bondage. We think relationship is a bondage. We think autocratic system is a bondage. Now the greatest bondage is our ego. So to overcome the ego, you think anybody can do it with wisdom? Do you think anybody can do it with meditation? It can only happen in deep love, when you really forget yourself, when you are no more expecting anything. So there are some other aspects of devotion that I would have liked to talk about, but in our next episode, at least on the first part, I will talk about some other aspects of devotion, which are also very important. For today, I think I have to sign off, and I'll ask Argho and Debashish to summarize the whole session.
Thank you, Maharaj, for nicely explaining true love. For Antonello's queries, you nicely explained that to love Jesus, we don't have to go to church. And for Stella Tota, nicely you have explained different tenets of yoga. You have given the examples of Sudama, Mata Yashoda, of different kinds of love. And the true love, you explained, keeping aside myself, keeping aside own ego, how we can feel the infinite love. So I'll just ask Orgo to summarize the session. Please, Orgo.
Thank you, Devasista, and pranam to Maharaj. Once again, when you were talking, and after this discussion, I'm unable to find any words actually to summarize this, but still I want to say a few things. First of all, when you're talking about Antonello's query that was about Jesus, to how to love Jesus, and beside the church's 2,000 years of reign and all, I was remembering one of the articles that you wrote many years ago. I was remembering Judas, and it's very relevant to this topic because Judas is, although it's a fictional story, but it's a great speculation. But some people think it's not fictional even. It's a journey, and Judas for me is an article that kind of transformed my life. And I would request everyone who is watching this today, if they want to, they can read Maharaj's English version of Judas. Also, there is a Bengali version and there is also English version, and it's I cannot describe it how the relationship of Judas and Jesus is related to this devotion and bhakti and prem and love. But if you start reading it, you start to understand how selflessness, or where I ends, there is only one God, one Guru, one Jesus, and or one Ishta is there. You can understand with pain, with love, with emotion, you will totally understand the journey of Jesus. And when you start to read these texts, and also journey, as Maharaj said, to journey around the world in India, because India is kind of the nectar of Bhakti Yog. So if you go travel in India and find these places, you'll start to understand the greatness of Jesus, and then automatically you'll fall in love. And as part of Taylor's query, when Maharaj was talking about the different yogas, first of all, he talked about the yoga of the body, the Hatha Yoga, then the Gyan Yoga, then the Raj Yoga, which is the yoga of the mind, and also Bhakti Yoga, the end, the fourth one, the Bhakti Yoga. Now, he said that the emotion of a human being is the most natural thing. And the womb of every other yoga, that is Raj Yoga or Gyan Yoga or Hatha Yoga, should be the Bhakti Yoga, because that's the most natural ingredient that is present inside us. We want to love, we want to be loved, and that ingredient drives us, sometimes drives us crazy to reach the divine. And you talked about the relationship, the different aspects of relationships that we have, and then categorized it. Like you talked about the famous jokes. That is, no. First of all, when you were talking about that a yogi who comes to India and he finally sees Kali, Mother Kali, and he says, I will fall in love with Kali." Such things won't happen. You have to first of all believe in your natural instincts, and secondly, if there is a guru, there's a then he will or she will dictate you towards your path. Sometimes we really understand our own nature. And now coming to the relationship part, that is the great bhakti yoga can be also divided into many subcategories. Like with all our, our emotions can be different each time. Like the shanto bhav, or the bhav of the rishis, the mood of the rishis, you can say, where this passive, calm, and he's intuitive. He wants to know the nature, but he stays passive. He's loving someone, but he's very passive, very calm towards it, and it doesn't worry. Like you give an example of Buddha, he's always there. If you are in a great trouble and suddenly look at the face of Buddha, you will feel a great calmness, great a sense of peace. Like, don't worry, I'm there for you. Don't worry, there is a truth waiting for you. Don't worry, everything will be all right. Like this. So that is Shanto Bhav, and wonderfully explained it. And there are many aspects of Shanto Bhav also. You also talked about Dasya Bhav, which is a more a server master concept. Like you gave the example of Hanuman, where my master is everything. Well, my master, serving my master is everything. Whether I am just giving him tea, or giving water in his garden, doesn't matter. Just going to meet him every day, and even ironing his shirt, doesn't matter. Whatever I can do the service to my master is my sadhana, and that makes me one with my master, and that concludes the unification, the yoga with my master. And then he talked about the Shakya Bhav, the friendly mood, and that's one of the most important pillars of this Bhakti Yog. And again, it's very difficult and yet very beautiful to be a friend kind of mood, to have a friend kind of mood, because you talked about Sudama and how beautiful the relationship with Krishna was, how both of them, when they were young, they played together, and then they had this kind of a relationship that is hard to explain. But there was times when Krishna was like his master, his mentor. Also, there was a deep respect for Sudama because he was a Brahmin, and they Sudama didn't have a feeling that Krishna is God. For him, Krishna was the pearl, the eye, the only thing that was present in front of him, the only friend that was, and that friend could devour the entire universe for Sudama. And the fourth one, that is the Vatsalya Bhav, the motherly affection. You already explained that it's very different from the feminine love. It's motherly love. And Guru Maharaj, or I have always heard from your satsangs that this motherly love, it's very difficult to understand in a Western kind of concept. Because in India, mostly in Bengali, the mothers, they have a symbol of motherliness. It's if you can observe a Bengali mother, not nowadays, only just 30, 40 years ago, also the mother had a mood that is very different from the mothers that we experience. I mean, the fashion of mothers, the trending motherhood that is going on these days. So that kind of a nature, a great divine love for the child. Every mother has a divine love for the child, but the mood of the mother towards the child, the love that is natural, ever since she was impregnated, she had, and also not before that, also from the beginning, from when she was just a 8 year or 6 year old girl, she used to dress up the doll and or feed the cows or the dogs. She had a motherly nature, and to harnessing that energy into the divinity, that was. And the last one, that is the most difficult of all, and also the most beautiful and the most impossible almost mood, that is the Madhur Bhav, that is the highest realm, highest mood of a seeker, where the partner or sexual partner is very bad word, is romantic, a lover is the god or the Ishta, the guru of him, of her. And they together in this particular bhav, you have all the other aspects of Vatsalya, of Shanto, of Shakya, of Dashya. Everything is enriched in this bhav of madhurness. And it's Maharaj already described it, and it's very difficult to actually talk about this madhur bhav. But just as I was saying about Judas and Jesus in the beginning, also this love has no gender. It's not always the I mean, the master or the mentor or the guru has to be male or this female. This is beyond gender. It's a love that evaporates the I that I am, evaporates the purpose, the ego I am. Sometimes it happens that whatever I'm doing, the sadhana, samadhi doesn't matter. It's only him, only my guru, only my ishta that matters. And that is kind of an experience that is very hard to explain. Only a seeker who is deep inside in sadhana can hardly get a speck of that experience. Only at least can get a hint of that experience, what it can happen. And as Maharaj was saying, the height of the experience, when the bodies disappeared, in that height of that mating, when the bodies disappeared, and I was getting goosebumps when he was telling this, because it's kind of an impossible. The world is driven by this force of love, the world of the bhakti, of the great divine power. And when the two bodies are achieving the peak of that state, and if the bodies are disappearing, it's creating something that is impossible for any other person, but just you can only experience it. It's impossible to describe how it is. So that's Bhakti Yog cannot be summarized. But when Maharaj was saying, we all felt and went through the journey of this Shanto, Dashya, Vatsalya, and then Madhur, and this journey, I hope we all have a different nature, and we all will be able to understand our own nature also, even if we can also come and contact to our respective gurus and ask that. And then only Jog, the connection, the unification of Paramatma, if we have that love, then we can also be a good Raj Yogi, we can be a good Bhakti Yogi, we can be a good Gyan Yogi, we can be a good Hatha Yogi, if we have that connection, that relationship with our master, mentor, or guru. Otherwise, it's almost impossible. So that was today's discussion, and it was wonderful. And we all, was in a trance today to understand this great divine. We should repeatedly watch this and all the sessions of Maharaj, and this session should be our own respective journeys too. So again, pranam to Maharaj, and I would love everyone to to subscribe this channel and share as much as you can. And we will again meet in the alternate Wednesday, the Wednesday after the coming Wednesday. It will be, I think, June 5th. I think, I don't know. I have to see it. Sorry, July 5th. I think. We'll be very happy if we can grow in numbers and share this session as much as possible. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Debashis.